Hi, Andy Nelson here. Today I want to talk about some of the dangers that you could face if you neglect to protect your brand and the intellectual property that surrounds your brand. Let me start off with a quick story. Some years ago, I had a client who had a pretty well-known restaurant in a West Coast beach town. Been using the name for the restaurant for a good 15, if not 20 years plus. An outside investor expressed a bunch of interest in putting money into the business and opening up multiple locations across the country. Turns out, however, that the client had never gone to protect its name at a national level that would basically clear the path to open up all these other restaurants. And sure enough, there were restaurants with the same or similar name all over the place. Outside investor was still interested in the business, but the value and the attraction went way down because that path was just not clear for that investor. It was not secured. So that's one of the dangers that can arise from not protecting your brand and not protecting, in this case, particularly your trademark, is that the value, the ultimate value of that name can certainly go south when you have an outside investor or someone who's looking to buy your brand comes in. That's one. Number two, if you fail to protect your brand and the intellectual property that really is kind of the symbols or really helps identify and lend value to that brand, you may find yourself being unable to protect those rights later when it comes down to it. In other words, sitting on your hands and doing little or nothing can come back to bite you if you ever have to enforce something later. And I get it. Sometimes things aren't that important along the way. It's more of just a little mosquito, not a big deal. But those things can pile up. And when it comes time to enforce the big one or deal with the big problem, failing to do certain prophylactic measures early on can affect what you're able to do later on. So that's danger number two. And then three, and really related to that, is in some instances, if you fail to protect your brand, you may be disabled, if you will, from enforcing your rights altogether. It may not just be more challenging, but there are instances where you may be unable to protect those or protect that brand, enforce those rights at all. And if you do that, how valuable is that asset? So the lesson here is take the time, protect your brand appropriately, protect those valuable assets which directly tie to the value of your brand, and avoid facing some of those dangers by not protecting your brand. That is, losing the value of that IP, two, making enforcing your rights far more challenging than they need to be, and three, related to the number two there, if you don't do enough to protect your rights, you may find yourself losing your ability to protect your rights altogether. Anyway, that's it. If you have questions about this video, please, I invite an email. Shoot me an email, and I'd be happy to talk further. Thanks.